So anyway, today I want to speak with you about how folks get stuck in diaspora. And this video might be helpful for people who are just new to diaspora and either have just moved in or a couple of years into diaspora. Good morning, wonderful people. It's another really beautiful morning in the village, as always. Yesterday we kind of had a little bit of overcast, but today the sun is up, and for me that means my solar system is charging, and so we are good to go. But I want to welcome you back to the village. We are right here in Karateng in Western Kenya. This is a village we love a lot. I go back and forth between Long Beach, California and Karateng in Western Kenya. And my ultimate goal is to be here permanently. I've lived in the US for almost 2 decades, and so I've been in the process of returning to the village. For me, it's a couple of years getting things situated. Once it's all done, then we're good to go. So I'm joining you here from my home right here. Today I have a couple of fundis who are fixing some gazebo work here that was not properly done, and it's causing me issues. So that's what I want to supervise. But I want to talk with you about a subject that keeps popping up. And 1 second, I hear somebody's calling me right here. 1 second. All right, folks. Sorry for the interruption. Oh, and by the way, one of my subscribers keeps asking about my gazebo. Let me see if I can show it. It's a very simple gazebo. This is probably what it looks like from this end. Nothing really fancy. All we have is just a covered space with 4 pillars. And then back here I have the wet area with a sink where we prepare food. And then in the middle here, let's see, it's right here, we have the stove area where we use makaa and wood. Because of course we can't use makaa inside the house. And then in the corner over here, we have the fireplace. So it's nothing really fancy. So my viewer Wambui who wants to see the gazebo, this is exactly what it looks like. Something really simple, but allows us to hang out outdoors. So anyway, today I want to speak with you about how folks get stuck in diaspora. And this video might be helpful for people who are just new to diaspora and either have just moved in or a couple of years into diaspora. And I'm hoping by sharing this, you will avoid some of the pitfalls that we got into, which is why we ended up staying in diaspora for a long time. Remember, if you were born and raised in Africa, it's very hard to live there permanently. Many of us always, there's a bird somewhere here that is chirping, and that's wonderful news. So a lot of us move from Africa to diaspora, wherever that may be, whether it's outside Kenya or outside the continent, and then we end up getting stuck. So here's some things that may happen to you that might actually change your ability to move back when you want to. So the first way that we get stuck into diaspora, and I'm going to use the US context because that's all I know. I've never lived in other countries. I've traveled to other countries, but I've lived in US for the most part. In America, there's something they call the American dream, where folks move to the US and then you see all kinds of things that are very attractive. So, and I'm thinking, like, for me, when I first moved from Karateng to Texas, my landing spot was actually DFW in Texas. And then you come out of the airport, you see these massive highways, you see massive homes, really huge cars, and everything is really shiny. And right away, you get sucked into it and you're thinking, okay, how do I get myself this? And then I went to my brother's place, and then there's people visiting. I visit friends, and you see they have like huge compounds, huge homes. And so if you're new to diaspora, it's really easy to get sucked into all that. And so you get yourself into a home, 30-year mortgage. So that means this thing has to be paid off unless you choose to sell it at some point. So you've got monthly payment every single month. And not only are you paying the home mortgage, you're paying the mortgage, you're paying home insurance, you're paying HOA depending on where you live, you're paying taxes, and all this will tie you to that space. So yes, home ownership is not a bad thing, but it's one of the first places that you get tied into in America, unless you do it as an investment property. The second way you get sucked up in, again, your desire to acquire as much as possible. Then you end up getting a car. And for the most part, the average person with an okay credit can just walk into a dealership and get a car. For the most part, of course, with some limitations. You get it, and then you get another maybe 6-7 years worth of car payment that ties you into that. Next thing you know, then you sign up for a credit card. And in your mind, at the time, we didn't know this. You think you have a lot of money. What you don't realize is that this is somebody else's money, and they're basically making you work for them. So then you get into credit cards and you start paying for stuff. Next thing you know, you have relationships. You meet somebody who is from Diaspora or somebody who is from Kenya but has no interest in Kenya at all. Then you get married, and then you have kids, and then you start thinking, okay, I need to push my kids all the way till high school. And then once they finish high school, I need to push them all the way till college. And then once they finish college, you're like, okay, I need to push them till they get settled down. Before you know it, it's 40 years and you're still stuck. Trust me, I have seen a lot of these cases where people tell me, okay, all I need is to push my kid up to this point, then I'm done, I'm good to go. It almost always doesn't work, because as soon as you're done with that stage, something pops up. And then once you're done with the kids, if you ever get there, then of course you have the spouse to deal with. I've got a ton of folks for whom returning is agreeable for both parties. The wife and the husband are all on the same page. That's easy. But when your spouse has a different mindset, then you may be out of luck. Especially because when you're married, a lot of times we kind of commingle funds. And building a home is not a small undertaking. It'll cost money. And so your spouse may not be hot on the idea of returning. And so justifying that expense can be quite a challenge for folks whose finances are really commingled. The people who probably have an easier time are two groups. Either couples who are on the same page as far as returning. They have a far easier time committing finances returning, or people whose finances are fairly separate to the point where they can actually commit to building at home without the other partner bringing issues. So if you know you have a partner who will have problems, I would strongly recommend that you create some space where financially there's a part of your life that is really not tied to your spouse, so that you can still buy stuff, do stuff without getting in trouble with your partner. Because I've seen folks get in trouble. And if you're a woman, I always say it's not a bad idea to encourage your partner to have at least more than one home. And the reason I say that is that sometimes plans change, desires change, and people go separate ways. And many diasporans I know build on their ancestral land. Like where we've built right now, this is our ancestral land. And so if you're a woman, when you have just one house in your ancestral land and maybe you go separate ways, well, guess what's going to happen? The ancestral land obviously stays where it is, and you probably will not even want to live there. So it's not a bad idea to have at least two residences if you have the finances to do so. Unless you're really solid with your partner, which again, sometimes people think they're solid until they're not. So if your finances allow, I think it's okay to have a resident in the village, but also have some kind of another resident elsewhere, most likely in a land that you bought or a piece that you bought in a city. So that should things change, you have that freedom. Then the other thing that also ties people to diaspora is now our mindsets. Like for me, I've lived in the US for again two decades. Many of us are so sold into the American dream, we hardly think that life is possible elsewhere. Because some people don't move straight from the US to Kenya. Some people move from the US to Australia, then Kenya. Others move from the US to, I've got a friend who moved from the US to China. And then likely, of course, when he's done, he's going to move back to diaspora. So the mindset bit is huge, and it's one of those things that I hope gets you to a change. Because if you cannot change your mindset, then you're going to have issues moving back to the village. So the mindset bit, in fact, I think is almost like the number one factor. If in your mind you can accept the reality that it's okay, you can make a successful life outside diaspora, then you are a step ahead. So if you're new to diaspora, I hope you think about these things, and I hope you're not stuck like some of us. All right, folks, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.